Well, it's certainly been an eventful last couple of years. We've had to relocate from Townsville, build this shed, build a house, and we're finally getting to a stage where we can start setting up the workshop and setting up a creative area, a clean area. Well, that's what this video is going to be about. This is where we build this room. So here's our little project room, our little room of inspiration, where we can hang some wall art and sit down and relax and enjoy after a hard day's work, where we can keep areas clean and do some leather work or some sewing. Keep it separate from all our woodwork, all our metalwork and all the dust and grime from the other side of the workshop. That's where all the fun happens out there, and this is where all the inspiration and relaxation happens in here. So we thought we'd bring you along the journey, show you what we've done to this point. This is only half done. We've got a lot more interesting things to do on the other side of this room here and update our power and things like that as well. But I hope you enjoy the video and we'll see you along the way. So before we moved up to the property about 2 years ago, we were working from our home workshop there where I made industrial furniture and art from my little 8 meters by 4 meter home workshop, and I love that little place. But this place that we got now is much bigger. It's 16 meters by 7 meters. We started building it about 2 years ago. We finished it in May 2022 and we moved all our household contents and all our workshop equipment all in the one space, and we actually even lived in it for about 6 months whilst we were building our house. And as you can imagine, there's been stuff everywhere. It's been highly unorganised and quite messy at times and difficult to work, get anything done in there, and that's why we'd like to fix all that and make it a place where that's functional and a pleasure to work in. I finished working up the house just for the moment, and it's time for me to get into the workshop here to start setting up little bit by little bit, at least somehow that I'd like it. But first of all, I've got to build a wall right here. I'm going to build a wall right through here, and this will be my clean area. So it'll be sewing and leather and art, you know, painting and all that sort of stuff in this area, and the rest of the area down through there will be all the woodwork, metalwork, all the dusty, messy stuff. It's fair to say we've been using this area as a bit of a dumping ground. What do you reckon? What are you eating, Pippa? Can you not eat that on the blanket there? This cabinet here is covered in mould. The mattress was up against it and it's just very mouldy. Not good. A lot of mud daubers here as well. It's about to rain. That's a surprise. Well, this wall is close to 7 meters wide and about 4 meters high, so I thought I'd make it in sections so that I could manage it. I'm just working by myself, and I thought that might be the best way to do it. I'm only setting these up with a finishing nailer, then I'll go back and, once it's all secured, I'll go back and nail them all properly. Just easier. I've got most of the framing up now, but I'm at the stage where I'm lining it, and I've been, I don't know, tossing and turning over what to line it with. Plywood, gyprock, boards, concrete, you know, fibro cement, but I've decided gyprock because I want to put a just a light wall up in here. Gyprock's good enough for homes, and then I want to have like a cement rendered look, and I've seen some YouTube videos on how that might look, so I'm keen to give that a go. Lifting up big heavy sheets of plywood is just a bit too much for me, just with my sore shoulder, so gyprock it is. I was keeping the gyprock sheets off the ground by about 10 millimeters. I just put some packers beneath the sheets there. I settle the sheets with stud adhesive and screws. Another 9 to go. Now I've already trial fitted this one, so I know it works. I'm happy. It's a real sucky one to do. Once all the gyprock sheets are up, I just plastered the joints and taped them just for added strength. Have no ceiling lights, but in the future I probably would like to put some in. So I've just put this piece of string in my wall before I line this side of the wall, so I can pull some power cable through in the future, which may be a couple of weeks or it might be a couple of years, I don't know yet. I always seem to find myself getting jammed in a corner, my own fault. I'm using some plywood to line this workshop side of the wall rather than this plasterboard, because plasterboard's probably easily damaged. So a bit of plywood I thought might be better. Oh, I'm just putting up sheets, there's not much to it. Maybe I could show you something on this speed square here. Now, the speed square's got degrees on one side down through here, 5, 10, 15, etc. So if I wanted to put a 10-degree line down that way, I just need to put this pivot point on the corner on my mark where I know the right height is, and then just bring it out to 10 degrees there, and then I can draw my 10-degree line. Well, instead of struggling to try and put screws in, balance and put the sheet up, I tacked these screws in, and when I'm up there, they're already in location. Mark. Back, I bought a heap of these boards from an old renovation, and it's full of this flaky paint, and it's probably lead-based paint too, so probably maybe around about 80, 90, 100 years old. Well, I'll try and clean it up best I can and use it for one of these little walls I'm building. Well, removing that old paint was a very slow and tedious job, so I'll do anything to try and speed that process up. Here I'm using a gas torch to try and soften that paint, blister it, and then I come back later with the chisel and a scraper, and that was a much better way of getting that paint off. I was using a gas mask as well with a carbon filter because I wasn't quite sure what was in that paint. I didn't want to breathe in any toxic fumes. I applied some tung oil finish to the plywood just to try and give it a bit of protection. We have had a heap of kangaroos over the summer months, and there was a big buck hanging around, so there was no doubt going to be a heap of joeys. And here's just a little joey going into his mother's pouch and getting some milk and then hopping around a little bit. And the other little kangaroo there is the other sibling as well, so family orientated. For the little timber wall that I made, I got some black paint and heavily watered it down because I just didn't like the pink primer undercoats that was on that on the timber there, so I just tried to darken it a little, and I think that came up okay. And I did the same for the plywood side as well on the lower half, because that's probably where it's all going to get a little grotty. And once that dried off, I applied tung oil finish to it. A couple of coats, that tung oil did the job. It's all been pretty straightforward so far, but this next step could be a complete disaster. I want to basically render this plasterboard wall here with plaster and concrete dye. See how it goes. What's the worst that can happen? Truth be known, I really had no idea what I was getting in for here, because adding that concrete pigment made the set time dramatically shorten. You're supposed to have 40 minutes to work this plaster, but this gave me probably less than 5 minutes, and it was setting as I was putting it on. It was just difficult. It's very dark. So the plan basically was to put a real dark compound beneath, and we get a slightly lighter compound on top and just mix it through, and to get that inconsistent look, patchy look, and have lumps in it, and all that was all part of the effect I was after. So far I'm happy. It's got texture that I'm after, so that's good. So I was pretty happy with that. So with the plastering done, I put some concrete sealer on top of that. I put 2 coats of that, seal that surface, and it seemed to turn out okay. And now I can move on to doing trims and fitting doors and putting artwork up. And it's about this time that I realised that my audio for my camera was really scratchy. So I don't know what caused that, but I'm going to try and mute that out as best I can. My little room's coming along okay. I'm looking at putting a beam across the top, going from the wall from one side to the other up there, so that's what I'm doing next. I've just got to figure out what I'm doing for brackets. Done a bit of work on the bar, so tidied it back up again, put some more penetrol on it, and that'll be pretty much the focal point of the area. And I've got some old plaques and things I want to put back up on the walls, and some of the Jimmy DiResta prints, and I've just made some more of these on the CNC, so all that's going to be wall art, give a bit of theme to the whole area. Oh, that's pretty shit so far. So got to bring that tip right around. Now bear in mind, I'm very much an amateur. I'm just having a crack at doing this. So I would know that there are better ways of doing all this. But there's no better way of learning than doing. I'll just do some cold tweaking because I want these to, not twerking, tweaking, just to get these two over like so. Sometimes on the property you need a long bolt and you don't want to run into town just for one thing. Well, I keep some bar stock on hand, say 8mm, 10mm, 12mm, and a range of the right nuts and washers. And so I can just thread up a bit of that bar stock and weld a nut on the end and run up a bit of thread with my my tap and die set, and then I get the right length bolt. So next time, this might not be a high tensile bolt or anything like that, but it'll do the job for most things like the fencing or just for odd repairs around the property. And you can replace it if you ever do when you get into town and get a bolt that you need. So a galvanized bolt, for example. When I was building the wall, I put some extra stud bracing inside, right where I knew that beam was going to go, so there's plenty of wood stiffening that whole area there. It's going to cut these round corners off on the beams I've just made, so I've got a nice flat surface to laminate. I ended up using glue and screws to hold this beam, these two halves together, so it should be plenty strong. Though it's not a load bearing beam, I'd have to put other supports on it to carry a little bit of load. The most I'm going to put on is some lights and probably some art. May need to trim these bolts back a little bit, they're a bit long, or push them through the other side and cut them off with the grinder. Well, there's my beam going across from one side of this bay to the other, and I still might need to put some supports up to the roof purlins just to give it a little bit of lateral stability, but it's not, this is just a decorative beam if there's any such thing. I just want to hang things from it, you know, old Harley Davidsons, you know, and Sherman tanks and whatever else. Old beer bottles and I don't know, just hang some cool stuff. I'll wrap this video up now. There's still a heap to do on the other side of the room, and I'll get to that in the coming weeks. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I'd love to see you in the comments. Thanks again, and bye for now.